Guys, and welcome back. We have again another Pauper deck that we're going to see some improvements with the inclusion of the Modern Horizons 3 set. And we found this build from the common, or let's say one of the regular archetypes in the Pauper format, which we call as the Gruul Land D or the Land Loss version. But this one has quite got some improvements in terms of the build, because again MH3 has somewhat improved its strategy to make it more efficient in having its main goal of also making use that you can ramp early on while also destroying your opponent's mana sources. So the new cards was included in this build, as you can see here in the grid version of the display of the card list, are copies of Eldrazi Repurposer and the Writhing Chrysalis. So this card first, the Repurposer, is a 3 mana cost 3/3 Eldrazi drone with its ability that whenever you cast the spell and when Eldrazi Repurposer dies, you will create a 0/1 colorless Eldrazi spawn tokens that can be used to sacrifice to add a colorless mana. It's not only goes with this, so that you get a 3/3 body, you get a 0/1, and also make you use it to ramp up to your better cards or the higher mana cost in your deck. Now the Writhing Chrysalis, which is also included as a 4 OBS in this build, is a 4 mana cost 2/3 Eldrazi drone. It is also devoid, but whenever you cast this spell, you will create 2 0/1 again Eldrazi spawn tokens that can be used to sacrifice to add the colorless mana. And then it's not only going to go with the rich ability, but also whenever you sacrifice another Eldrazi, you put up a +1 counter on Writhing Chrysalis. So basically on its own, if you sacrifice these 2 0/1 tokens, it will become a 4/5 rich creature. So also very efficient already for a 4 mana cost, which you get also a good mana ramp in this build. So let's check on the full deck list now. We have 25 creatures, 7 enchantments, which is also the ramp spells, and 17 lands and 11 sorceries, which include these 8 landy effects, and also of course sideboard here, which we're going to discuss a bit later. So again, we're going to start off with, of course, the mana ramp of this deck, which is the 4 copies of the Arbor Elf. So since that most of the deck are using the snow-covered forest, it also makes use that you can basically use this to untap that one to ramp you up. And later on, if you've enchanted your forest with this one, for example, a Wild Growth, wherein whenever enchanted land is tapped for a mana, it's can also add an additional 1 mana green for this. That's 3 copies. And also, Yugioh Pro also can be used to add that mana if you get to enchant that forest and choose a color as Yugioh Pro enters the battlefield. So in a way, this is also a good combination with Arbor Elf, which you can get a good source of mana to ramp up your best spells here, such as Avenging Hunter and of course Boarding Party. So the other cards was included aside from these 4 OBS of these Eldrazi drones are again your Avenging Hunter, which you get to take the initiative and also gets you a 5/4 Trampler body. Boarding Party lets you also cascade. At the same time, it becomes a haste creature with a 6/3 power, which can also attack right away. Copies of a Generous Ant, which can be used to get a far cycling, but can later on be hard cast for 6 to get a 5/7 rich body, will also create you a food token, which can be used later on for matchups such as that of Mono Green to gain you 3 life. And also we have 4 copies of Annoyed Altisor. This is again reprinted in MH3, but this ability is important because it's not only 6/5 Trampler reach, but also gets you to cascade to your best spells or lesser creatures, but also gets you to do some free landy effects. So we have thermo cards here that can destroy land, and if its land is snow covered, you will gain 1 life. And also Menboli Acid Moss, that's 4 copies. It gets you to destroy a land and search the library for a forest land and put that card into the battlefield tap. So also a way it gets you to ramp for your best card. At the same time, you get to destroy any opposing land from your opponent. And a good way also here, the other sorcery here, which has 3 copies in the deck, is your Malevolent Rumble, which gets you to get a permanent card from the top 4 cards of the library and then put the rest to your graveyard. But at the same time, it gets you a 0/1 Eldrazi spawn creature, which can be used later on to ramp up to your 4 drops or 5 drops, for example. That is for your main deck. since the land is still 17, is we have included just a splash of red for the Highland Forest, which can also be tutored because it is also a sub basic land forest. We can also be tutored by Generous Ant. At the same time, get a mana fix for your boarding party and your Rethink Crystallis. And for the sideboard, you just see how important this red component of this deck build, because we get to access powerful cards against certain matchups. For example, here we have Gorilla Shaman, wherein you get to have a way to destroy non-creature artifacts with mana value X. You can destroy your opponent's lands, your artifact lands, for example, by paying only 1 mana. And then you also get to access Breath Weapon against token decks or aggro decks, wherein you can be able to deal 2 damage to each standard creature at instant speed and prevent their board advantage. Also, we have the access also to can cast into the fire. That's 1 copy. You can deal 1 damage to it up to 2 target creatures, and irrelevant 1/1 or 2/1s can be dealt with, and also can exile target artifact and prevent any indestructible effects from among them. And also, as a support for the affinity matchup, we have 4 copies of the Gleamer, which makes sure that the regeneration strategies will be nullified by that, because you get them to shuffle it into his or her library, and at the same time, it's not only artifacts but also enchantments that are good targets for this instant common card. And for Graveyard Shenanigans, we have 3 copies of Relic Progenitus. It makes sure that exiling your opponent's graveyard is also important. At the same time, you get to exile all of them at instant speed, and also gets you a card in the process. And for other life gain effects, we have Weather the Storm. That's 1 copy. You get to storm, also gain 3 life. And the last one is 2 copies of Nameless Disciple, which can gain your life equal to the division of green to your permanents, and also gets you a 3/3 body to act as a blocker and attacker at the same time in most of the burn or goblins or aggro matchups in the metagame. So we check on the list of the mana curve. It's about average of 3.53. We have a lot of 3 drops and 4 drops, but at the same time, with lots of this mana ramp of Utopia Sprawl and Wild Growth, as well as Arbor Elf, they make sure that you can get to be consistent in ramping up and doing the landy and getting ahead with your best creature as early as possible. Color distribution, we have basically going with green and only 8 for red for the combination in the deck, but of course we are mostly green to get you to fix also with just Highland Forest, and also with the Utopia Sprawl to get for your red mana access. And last but not the least are your tokens. We have Eldrazi Spawn, that's a 0/1, your full token, and your extra. That is the take the initiative to get you for this benefit, as you get that effect when you cast the card Avenging Hunter. So I guess that's pretty much it, guys, for this deck tech. I'm pretty sure this is already performed in the regular or weekly MTG online tournaments, as well as in your local game store for the Pauper metagame updates and tournaments also. And if you like more of this, just subscribe to the channel. We can have more of these updates as we explore more of the Pauper format with the inclusion of Modern Horizons 3. Again, guys, thank you for watching. That's pretty much it for our Glue or Land Lost deck tech in the Pauper format. See you guys on the next video.